Hello, and welcome to another episode of What is it like being a holistic business owner in Tennessee? I'm Scott, and today we are joined by Katherine. And Katherine is a natural products maker and distributor in Tennessee, and we're going to hear a little bit about her story. So, Katherine, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, we work with a lot of practitioners of different types, and so today is going to be just a little different because you're offering, products that you ha have come up with. So, really curious to hear about how that all started. The origin story is always interesting for me. What's the genesis of all this? How did you get into holistic, products and living and all these things, and what led you to start making these products?
Yeah, so I had a baby in 2020. As we all know, that was a very interesting time.
Mm,
And so when he was born November 2020, everything was great. We were so excited to have our first child. And then about 4 weeks old, he developed a full body rash. As a new mom, I'm terrified trying to figure out what is going on. We saw specialist after specialist after specialist. No one could figure out what was going on. So that's really what had me start looking into a holistic one provider for my children, but also to figure out, was there environmental stuff that I could help that was in our home. And so I started looking and researching into artificial fragrance. At this point, I had all like the baby safe products in my home, the laundry detergent that was safe, all of this, quote unquote non-toxic stuff. But when I really started looking into it, the word fragrance can hide 3,000 different chemicals that they don't have to disclose. Um,
right.
and so then I was just kind of on a hunt, the plugins were gone, the safe laundry detergent was gone. And I really started just trying to get rid of as much artificial fragrance from our home as I possibly could. Once we started doing that, we did start noticing a difference in his skin. And so that was great. And then with the help of a lot of other holistic practitioners, we were able to get my son very healthy. He'll be 5 this year, and you would have no idea, some of the struggles that he has had. So that's kind of how I got into the holistic lifestyle and also getting rid of the artificial fragrance and really researching what is in our house.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. I guess I didn't have this in mind beforehand, but where else has that led you in holistic? Are you really focused just on the fragrances and the chemicals like that with the household, or have you branched into other areas of holistic wellness? Just curious about that.
So, like with me and my family, we live a very, holistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
And all of that entails like a lot of the practitioners that are part of this, group, like we personally see. So that's, the other thing that we really love about this group is, I can attest for them. They've helped me, they really helped, change my family's life and my son's life. And so we
Yeah.
live, that lifestyle. And then like with my business, I really wanted to make it easy for moms because, or big
Yeah.
families, like I know how overwhelming it can be to kind of make the jump from traditional lifestyle to like a more holistic or crunchy or non-tox switch, and it can kind of feel like an all or nothing kind of lifestyle. And so I wanted to make my products really easy switches, like let's get rid of a dryer sheet, here's a dryer ball, and it kind of explains you how to use it. Just because I know how overwhelmed I felt in the beginning of, oh my gosh, I have to throw everything away and start over. Like, no, let's make easy switches that can have like a huge impact on you, your family, and everyone's health.
Very nice. Yeah, there's a million and one things to switch out, right? It's never ending. And so many things that we just weren't aware of for a long, long time. So the fragrances really get me. I get headaches, they bother my sinuses. I don't know if it's gotten worse over time or it's from age or whatever, but I've noticed it so much more. And we've had to really switch out a lot of that stuff too. So
I mean, once you start to cut it out, your body actually does become more sensitive to fragrance. So I used to really never notice, when people had a lot of perfume on or anything like that. But I'll get in an elevator with someone and I'm like, my eyes
yeah,
are watering, my nose is running.
exactly.
So it's like that's a good thing because your body's kind of, like detox some of that out. But now you're more sensitive and kind of figure out where it all is, in the world.
Yeah, or is that someone walks by you in public and you get that liquid Tide
Yeah.
breeze and you're like, oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. So when people, I don't know if it's through testimonials or if you talk to people when they're looking at your products, what are some of the main reasons? Are they reaching out to you and looking for things on your website and in your reserves because of the same issues that you were facing, or what are people looking for? Like, what are maybe it's obvious, maybe they're just trying to be less toxic, right? But are they telling you, hey, this is what I'm facing and this is why I reached out to you?
Yeah, so our biggest, our best seller, what people like, what we are known for is our simmer pots.
Hmm.
So, I grew up, my mom, my grandmother in the winter would have, like a simmer pot on the stove around the holidays. And it would smell great. And so when I, got rid of all of those toxins and fragrances out of my house, I have two boys, so I still wanted my house to smell good, but it was like, oh, some of, I don't want a Glade plug-in, I'm not going to use Febreze, like all that kind of stuff. But then even when I started looking to it, some of these non-toxic candles, it's still a synthetic fragrance. It might be a less toxic synthetic fragrance, but it's still a synthetic fragrance. And I'm very sensitive to those kinds of things. And so I
Hmm.
thought back and I was like, well, I remember my mother having a simmer pot. And so I started making those. And I custom make all the blends, cut and dehydrate the fruit. And so people will definitely reach out to us for that because the ingredients are so clean. You can see every ingredient, you can eat every ingredient. And it's a very cost effective and actual non-toxic way to freshen your home. And you can use it for, 12 hours a day as long as there's water in the pot.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to grab some of those soon. That's cool. So do you have people telling you like, oh, hey, before I use your product, this was happening and then I started using it and then here's the result we saw. Like, have you gotten a lot of feedback in terms of testimonials and do you have any that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so some of my favorite things or the things I hear the most are definitely like, I was ready, I made the switch to, like a more holistic lifestyle, but the non-toxic candles made me sneeze or even essential oils, I was really sensitive to those. But your product, my house smells great. I'm not irritated and my nose isn't running, I'm not sneezing. I can't wait to gift these to everybody else. So we love to hear that. I have a lot of people that will send them as wedding gifts or Mother's Day gifts. And so that always makes me super excited, just, introducing like what a simmer pot is and the benefits of it for you and your family. But my favorite thing, and I get it so much, is your products are so good. I took a bite of them and they're delicious. And
Yeah,
I heard it like the first time and I was like, oh, okay. And then I keep hearing it again and again and again. And so, I mean, they are clean enough that you can eat them.
that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, well, you don't even correct them. You're like, fine, good.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's a dehydrated apple, orange, lemon, or fruit, like,
Right. That's so funny. Cool. So people that are maybe early on in their journey to holistic wellness or more natural wellness, I mean, somebody that is looking for either like just wellness services or better products, like what kind of advice would you have for them? Because you obviously went on this journey fairly recently. And what are some of the pitfalls you hit or roadblocks or what would you recommend to people that are just kind of getting into this?
well, I think like, being a part of this, it helps a lot because you're not having to like search for holistic providers. Like it's a one-stop shop where you can find a chiropractor, you can find, soap, you can find, non-toxic products,
Hmm.
and that helped a lot because I feel like that was the biggest struggle in the beginning is I didn't know where to look for a holistic provider. And, like I thank God that we found one who referred us to the other and really helped, get my son where he is today. So I think one, this program, is phenomenal. I wish it had been around, 5 years ago. But for anyone that's wanting to switch to a non-toxic or holistic lifestyle, like just small baby steps, you don't have to like burn the house down and start over, but just make conscious decisions of, okay, I ran out of this laundry detergent, let's try a different one. Or, this candle's done, let's try a simmer pot. And you'll start to notice a huge shift in not only like your health, your family's health, your pet's health, just like the air quality that you breathe in your home is just so huge.
Nice. Yeah, little bits at a time. Definitely a good thing. It's you kind of have to have the desire. As the desire grows, the more you'll search out and yeah, try not to bite off too much at once. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So what's the best? Obviously, people can find you in the Holistic Collective directory, the map search, but where else can they find you directly? And what is the best way for them to get in touch?
So I have a website, so you can go shop all my stuff. I have a fun like scent quiz. If you want to know what like your curated scent for your home is. I'm
Yeah,
also on Etsy. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. However you want to find me, you probably can. And then I'm in some local businesses in the Middle Tennessee area as well, which is also on my website if you want to smell things in person.
cool. We'll put the website and the links in the show notes, but what is the website just for people listening? Is Lily Bell,
Yeah, www.lilybellboutique.com.
lilybellboutique.com. Cool. Well, any special promotions or anything else you want people to be aware of before we close it out?
Yeah, when you go onto my website, like I said, take the scent quiz. That helps a lot. Just knowing what scent for your home. And then there's also a 15% off coupon for your first purchase. And I also have bundle deals just to make it easy, like an easy swap for, candles or dryer sheets or whatever kind of you're getting rid of out of your house.
Good deal. Sounds amazing. Well, Catherine, really appreciate learning more about Lilybell, and it sounds like fantastic products. I remember when you were telling me about it a little bit before. I've got to try them. I'm sure Melinda will be into it, so we'll give it a whirl. But thanks so much, and everybody check out the links in the show notes, and we will see you on the next one.